Hey folks, walk with me. When someone disappoints you. Now this can take a lot of different shapes for a lot of different people. And that primarily relies on our background, right? Our history with those who are supposed to take care of us, our caregivers, the people that we relied on, and then the people that we relied on to build community and feel a sense of belonging as we aged out of being so dependent on our caretakers as children. And the experiences that we have with those folks, whether they were relatively solid and that those people seemed reliable and interested and engaged, versus if those people felt fairly neglectful and hurtful, and that our relationship with them relied on representing ourselves in a way that felt maybe not authentic to who we really are. But, I think that there's a couple of things to keep in mind when people disappoint you in the current day. One of them is to be certain if you want to just go to that immediate shut the door mentality. I am famous for this. I say famous jokingly, but I have a strong history of this. And I know why it happens for myself now. I have a long history of abandonment and neglect. And if you come from that background, you are just sort of constantly waiting for people to abandon you and to neglect you and for the point to be proven. And you probably don't know it, but you're doing a lot of things, one of which is to just be so fixated on the lookout for those things, but you're doing several things that contribute to helping that happen, which sounds counterintuitive, but I think above feeling good or feeling different, many times humans are attuned to proving themselves right. And even if that means you're proving yourself right, that something really crappy is going to happen. And so if your instinct is to just shut the door and be like, screw that person, they didn't do what they said that they were going to do, I'm writing them off. You can do that. And you can spend decades living that way. And you can do that on the surface and never ever have any understanding as to why you do it and the many, many manifestations of that in your life. It's not that you just have something in your history and then it causes you to cut people off quickly. It's that you have something in your history, it causes you to cut people off quickly, and also a dozen other things that you really dislike about yourself, but that you can't stop doing. So understanding that if you do want to cut people off quickly, taking a moment and thinking about two things. One, that person has a whole world going on as well, as do you. Think about how much of your world that person really knows and what inferences that they could draw from the little bit that they actually know. Now that's probably the same for your knowledge of them. The stuff that they have going on minute to minute, day by day, the intrusive inner thoughts that they have, the impulses that they're fighting, whatever it is, they have all of those things as well. And sometimes maybe it leads to something that then disappoints you in some way, shape, or form. They don't contact you back quickly enough. If they do contact you back, they don't say what you want them to say. It's very loud here today. However that takes shape for you. So just consider, this is a whole person with a whole outer world happening, but more importantly, a whole inner world that you probably have a very, very small glimpse into, if any at all. And secondly, it's not that time will never pass. I think if you do have a challenging history with this sort of stuff. With relationships, with people doing you wrong, right? And so you toughen up and you say, oh, the world's not going to hurt me anymore. I'm just going to cut people off. Well, that's not really connecting to people. If it's just that they never disappoint you, they never frustrate you, they never aggravate you, they never let you down, and so you cut them off. You're never going to land a connection to anyone that way, because you don't really have an expansive relationship with somebody if none of those things ever happen. Those things happen because you have an expansive relationship with somebody. You have an intricate, meaningful relation and connection to someone. That's why those things happen. So if you just cut people off the minute that happens, you're never going to develop meaningful, engaged relationships with anybody, because you don't get through that. And you have to keep in mind that there is not just endless time that these things take place. These are instances of a thing that happens at a certain point in time when other things are going on. And tomorrow is a new day. And there is an opportunity to start fresh, to talk about, hey, this happened the other day, or this happened the other week. Can you help me understand what was going on? Here's how it felt to me. So maybe consider these things if you find it challenging to not just cut people off the minute that you perceive that they've slighted you in some way. Now, I'm not saying go out there and let yourself get abused and misused and mistreated over and over and over again by somebody who's probably doing it for reasons that they themselves are completely oblivious to, or predominantly oblivious to. If two people in the world meet with this concept of, the world's done me wrong, so I'm tough and I'm strong and no one's going to break through and I'm impenetrable and all this stuff, those two people aren't going to have a human connection. Okay, but they will have some sort of interaction, and they will probably not really understand why it's taking place, how to adjust it, how to see things in any secondary or tertiary manner, or how to process or reprocess anything that's happened in that realm. So just keep that in mind. Don't let yourself get abused and misused. Yes, of course. But I don't think that that's often what's really happening. There are instances of that. I put a video out on gaslighting before. That was that. I should have run further and faster from that situation way sooner, but I had no clue what was going on. I was too much giving the benefit of the doubt in the absolute wrong circumstances. As a brief sort of side road here, it's interesting to give deference when deference is the last thing you should be giving, right? Someone's gaslighting you and you decide, I got to give this person the benefit of the doubt, da-dee-da-dee-da-da. And then on the other side, you have people who actually do care for you, people who do have your best interest at heart, and they are people, so they make mistakes. And they do things, they can't read your mind, and so they do things that maybe aren't exactly how you'd like them to be done. And you just absolutely obliterate those people. It's interesting how those things sort of shape out in that way. Absolutely diametrically opposed to how they should. But maybe that's another topic for another video. We're coming up on double digits here, so I'm going to clip it there. But, you know, if you struggle with this one, I have, and it's a tough one. But I hope that there's something in here that's a little grain or a little nugget that maybe you can ponder on, try out, consider, whatever. All right, folks. Well, if If you walked with me, I hope that you had a nice walk. It's very bright here at the moment, but we're going to be buried in snow sooner than later, I think. And if you didn't walk, but you watched this far, I really appreciate that. And I will see you in the next video.